Are you excited to explore Brazil? It's a great country and I'm sure you will have fun. Let's go. Brazil is the fifth largest country in the world and by far the largest country in South America with an area of over 8.5 million square kilometers. It is also the seventh largest country in the world by population and largest in South America with a population of about 215 million people. It is the longest country in the world and spans over 4,395 kilometers from north to south and the only country in the world to have the equator and the Tropic of Cancer running through it. It is the only Portuguese-speaking country in America and has more Portuguese speakers than Portugal. Brazil is home to the world's largest community of Japanese descent outside of Japan. Rio Carnival in Rio de Janeiro is the biggest carnival in the world and attracts over 2 million tourists and lasts over 5 days. It is essentially the biggest street party in the world. Brazil has won FIFA World Cup 5 times, more than any other country in the world. Are you intrigued? Brazil is an amazing country. I can't wait to tell you all about it. But before we start, I need to ask you a favor. YouTubers keep sending me messages saying 98% of you are not subscribed. So, could we change that please? Thank you. Let's find Brazil in the map. It is in South America and shares land borders with Uruguay, Argentina, Paraguay, Bolivia, Peru, Colombia, Venezuela, Guyana, Suriname, and French Guiana, a French overseas territory. Brazil doesn't border only 2 countries in South America, Ecuador and Chile. It is divided into 26 states and 1 federal district for administrative purposes. Capital is Brasilia. It is a UNESCO World Heritage Site since 1987 because of its modern architecture and uniquely artistic urban design. São Paulo is the most populous city in Brazil with a population of 22 million people. It is also the most populous in America, Western Hemisphere and the Southern Hemisphere, as well as the 4th largest city by the population. It is a major industrial and commercial center responsible for 1/10 of Brazil's GDP. Rio de Janeiro, Brazil's former capital, is the second most populous city. It is home to the very famous 30-meter high Christ the Redeemer, one of the new 7 wonders of the world. Now, let's look at the national symbols. Brazil's flag is one of the most instantly recognizable flags. Yellow represents the wealth of the country, soil and the natural resources, while the green stand for the nature. When the flag was designed, the green and yellow were taken from the imperial flag of Brazil. The green represented the royal house of Bragança for King Dom Pedro I, while the yellow represented the house of Habsburg for Maria Leopoldina, Pedro's wife. The stars represent the constellation over Rio de Janeiro, the early morning of the Day of Independence. The flag was later modified to have 27 stars, similar to American flag having star represent each state. The slogan in the middle in Portuguese means order and progress. This is Brazil's coat of arms. In the middle of the emblem is a Southern Cross in blue circle, surrounded by 27 stars. Each star represents Brazil's 26 state and a federal district. Coffee and tobacco branches surround the star and represent the important crops at the time of independence. The blue ribbon contains the official name of Brazil as well as the date it became a republic. Are you really enjoying learning about this country? I hope so. Next, we are going to look at the geography.
Geography!
The size, relief, climate and the natural resources make Brazil's geography diverse and very interesting. Brazil's territory also includes some archipelagos in the Atlantic Ocean. Fernando de Noronha is the 21-island archipelago and the main island is inhabited. Rocas Atoll is a wildlife sanctuary and a UNESCO World Heritage Site because of its importance as a feeding ground for marine life. Trinidad and Mariam Vaz is a 5-island archipelago. It is a main nesting ground for green sea turtles, humpback whales and many seabirds. St. Peter and St. Paul archipelago is the second largest megamullion. It is the only place in the Atlantic Ocean where Earth's abyssal Mantle is exposed to above sea level. Now, let's turn our focus to mainland Brazil. Its topography includes rolling hills, high mountains, fertile plains, rainforest, and scrublands. Brazil can be split into 4 different regions based on its landscape and geography. Brazil's highlands, Pantanal, Guinea Shield, and the Amazon. Brazilian highland is the eroded mountain region that make up more than 50% of the landmass. It comprised of lower mountains, steep cliff, and rolling hills. This region is the most populated region in all of Brazil, as most people live in this region. Most of the country's mineral resources also come from here. This region's soil is very fertile and good for agriculture. Pantanal is a tropical wetland, retain large amount of water. It receives about 1200 millimeters of rainfall each year, as well as water from the Paraguay River. During the rainy season, about 80% of the land is covered in water, creating a very marshy, swampy area. During the dry season, water recedes, leaving small ponds. These are rich in fish and shellfish, which attracts birds and other animals to this area. And this is a very biodiverse area. Guiana Shield is very similar to Brazilian highlands. The terrain is a mixture of mountains, high plateaus, and rolling hills. It receives plenty of rainfall, making much of the area a rainforest. Brazil's highest point, Pico de Neblina, is in this region as well. Amazon is a unique phenomenon that makes Brazil's geography truly special. 2/3 of Amazon rainforest is in Brazil. Most of the region is protected and partially populated. Deforestation is a huge concern. The Amazon and the La Plata river basins occupy 60% of Brazil. That's lots of rivers. Brazil experiences wide range of weather conditions. Most of the region are tropical as shown in the various shades of blue. The orange region is semi-arid, little bit dry, receive less than 800 millimeters of rainfall each year. And the region that's in green experiences the humid subtropical climate with cool winters and hot summers. Now that you are familiar with the regions of Brazil, let's go get familiarize ourselves with history. People have been living in this area for over 11,000 years. By the time the Europeans arrived, the territory had about 7 million indigenous people of various groups. Brazil was claimed by Cabral in 1500 for Portugal, but it was neglected to focus on the much richer Asia. The Treaty of Tordesillas, signed between Portugal and Spain, divided the influence in the new world of the Americas. Most of the Brazil went to Portugal, and the first Portuguese settlement was established in 1532. By the mid-16th century, sugarcane became Brazil's most important export, and slaves were purchased to work in the sugar plantations. Portuguese Brazil received over 2.8 million slaves in the 2 centuries. By the end of the 17th century, sugarcane export declined and the gold became the new backbone of the economy, fostering Brazilian gold rush and attracting thousands of people from Portugal and Portuguese colonies around the world. After Napoleon invaded Portugal in 1807, Portuguese royal family escaped to Brazil, set up their court in Brazil and established Brazil's first stock exchange, national bank and opened trades with other countries. When the war ended in Europe in 1814, Europe demanded the Portuguese empire to return to Europe as they felt that it's not dignified for an ancient European monarchy to live in the colony. But the royal didn't want to leave Brazil. They liked it. So they established United Kingdom of Portugal, Brazil and the Algarve, giving Portugal and Brazil equal status. This angered Portuguese in Portugal. Having an equal status to a colony? What? Brazilians were not keen on the idea either. They wanted independence. Due to the political tension between Spain and Portugal, King John VI returned to Portugal in 1821 and left his heir Pedro in charge of Brazil. Tension between Portugal and Brazil increased. Pedro declared independence in 1822 and became the first emperor of Brazil, Pedro I. While this was happening, War of Independence began in other parts of the country. Eventually, Portuguese military was beaten by Brazilian fighters, and Portugal officially recognized Brazil as an independent country in 1825. However, Pedro I's popularity waned. He abdicated Brazilian throne in 1831 in favor of his 5-year-old son, Pedro II. When he is older, Pedro II won some international war and changed Brazil's boundary as it is today. And in his 58 years of reign, Brazil's economy grew and the country developed. Although majority of Brazilians were happy with Pedro II, on November 15, 1889, monarchy was overthrown in a military coup with the support of financial elites. Brazil became a republic, but it was nothing but a military dictatorship. Eventually, a civilian government took over in 1894 and remained in power until 1930. When Vargas lost his presidential election and forced himself in a revolution, even though he forced himself to power, but he encouraged industrialization and grew Brazil's economy. Get this. Vargas was overthrown by a military coup in 1945, but he won the 1951 election fair and square and came to power. But he knew there is a military coup impending. So rather than being captured, he shot himself in 1954. He was followed by series of short-term presidents. Finally, in 1956, Kubitschek became a president and governed without major crisis. The economy and industrial sectors grew remarkably, and he built Brasilia, the new capital, with very interesting and unique building, and opened it in 1960. However, he didn't win the next election due to some overspending and financial issues. In 1964, military dictatorship took over the country again, and that lasted until 1985. The civilian government returned to power in 1985, but none of the presidents were successful in controlling the inflation or helping the public. In 1995, Cardoso became a president and tackled high inflation and addressed inequalities and the gap between the rich and the poor. But he couldn't control the public debt. In 2003, President Lula was elected to the office, and the country experienced remarkable growth. But he was imprisoned for corruption and mismanagement. The next president was Dilma Rousseff. He was impeached for financial mismanagement in 2016. That brings us to the current president, Jair Bolsonaro. He was elected in 2018 as the 30th president of Brazil. And let's see how he is going to do. So, this is Brazil's history. So, now we know the history. Let's go check out the people and their cultures.
People and culture.
Brazil's population is about 215 million. It is the 7th largest country in the world and largest in South America. Most Brazilians live in urban areas in the southern part of the country and along the coast. In Brazil, race and ethnicity are mostly determined by the appearance, particularly the skin color, hair type, lip shape, and so on, rather than ancestry. Full siblings can be considered different racial group. 47% of Brazilians consider themselves as white, 43 pardo, 8% as black, 1% Asian, 0.5% Amerindians, and the other 0.5% consider themselves as mixed of many other races. About 130,000 Jewish live in Brazil. It is the second largest community in Latin America. It is estimated that Brazil has about 100 different uncontacted tribes living in the Amazon area. It is the largest number of uncontacted people in the world. Roman Catholicism is the main faith. Brazil has the world's largest Catholic population. About two-thirds of all Brazilians are Catholics. The official language is Portuguese. Almost all of them speak Portuguese. It is virtually the only language used in media. Language is an important part of Brazilian national identity. Brazil's main culture is based on Portuguese culture because of its strong colonial ties to Portuguese monarch. However, African, indigenous and non-Portuguese European cultures also have huge influence. Family is very important to Brazilian people. Children often remain with parents until they get married. Extended family members tend to keep close ties with one another and look after them. Older parents often live with one of their children. Despite the mixing of ethnicities, class system is strong in Brazil. Social discrimination based on skin color is common. People with dark skin economically and socially disadvantaged. This has been changing in the last few years. Okay, let's look at Brazilian food. Its cuisine varies throughout the region and encompasses influence from all over the world. Rice and beans are diet staple along with meat, fresh fruit, vegetables and fish. Feijoada, brought on by African slaves, are a very popular dish. It is a black bean stew containing pork meat and eaten with rice. Street markets are very popular. They offer a wide variety of food, including pastel, a pastry crust filled with various filling, either sweet or savory, and then deep fried. Yum! Coxinha is another popular dish containing minced meat wrapped in a dough and molded into the shape of chicken leg and then deep fried. It's also yummy. Brazilians are also renowned for their love of music and dance, with many regular festivals. They gotta be, right? The most popular sport in Brazil is no surprise, football. Brazilian men's national team is ranked among the best. Volleyball, basketball, auto racing, and martial arts are also popular. Thank you for staying with me so far. Next chapter is economy.
Economy.
Brazil is the largest economy in Latin America, yes, bigger than Mexico, and the ninth largest in the world with purchasing power parity of $3.7 trillion, trillion with a T. That's a good news, but economic freedom score is only 53.3, making it the 133rd freest country in the world, and suffer from long period of political chaos and corruption. The service sector contributes to 67% of the GDP. It includes sectors like hospitality, financial services, retail sales, and personal and professional services. It is also the largest employer. In the world of tourist destination, in 2019, Brazil was the 48th most visited country, and about only 6 million people visit this country each year before the pandemic. This number could improve significantly. Industrial sector contributed 28% of the GDP. Brazil has the second largest manufacturing sector in Americas after United States of America. Manufacturing include automobiles, steel, petrochemical, computer, aircraft, and consumer durable product. Brazil is also one of the world giants in mining and leading producer of host of mineral including iron ore, tin, bauxite, manganese, gold, quartz, niobium, tantalum, diamonds and many other gems. Agriculture only contributes to 5% of the GDP, and it is one of the world's largest producer of coffee, orange, cassava, sugar, soy, chicken and beef. However, Brazilian agriculture has been declining. But it is very important to note, Brazil is the world's largest producer of coffee for the last 150 years. Wow! On that note, I will end the Brazil episode. Thank you for watching and I love to hear from you. Please don't forget to subscribe. Stay with me. I'll teach you everything that you need to know about every single country in the world. Really appreciate you watching this video and staying with me to the end. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. See you in the next video. This is Bolivia. Okay, this is a very short version of Bolivia. There is a lot more to discuss. If you have any question, please put it in the comment. I will do my best to include them. I just didn't want to make my video too long because you guys are not watching it. So if you like this video, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. I really do appreciate you watching this video and hopefully learning something from it. Thank you.